The Master Grade Freedom Gundam 2.0 is one of my all-time favorite kits. How does the Providence compare to it? Let's find out. Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another Master Grade review, and today of course we'll be taking a look at the Providence Gundam, Raoul Cruxe's mobile suit from Mobile Suit Gundam Seed. If you haven't yet seen the unboxing video, feel free to check that out, but for now, let's do this. Here is what you get when you cut this guy out and snap him together with some decals and panel lining. On first impression, this looks to be an incredibly big and bulky kit, but without that backpack, this isn't necessarily the case. The Providence has a huge set of wide shoulders, a narrow waist, and those legs give me a serious Zeta vibe. The head unit looks absolutely savage, but I will warn you to be careful with that small piece of plastic between the two vents on the faceplate, as it's incredibly delicate. Yeah, I broke it. Also, there is the connector for the backpack, so no, this isn't compatible with Striker packs or the Freedom's wings. The colors of the Providence are essentially the standard Oryx 78-2 fare, just dialed back. And on top of that, the color of the plastics right here are quite good. However, I do feel the mass amounts of grey does look a little dull and makes this kit one you just have to panel line. Otherwise, all that impressive surface detail will be completely lost in a sea of grey. Bandai probably could have done something to break this up, but then again, it is anime accurate, and the muted colors do look great on the whole. One thing that does strike me as odd is the use of rubber pipes on the abdomen. But I do feel that this, as well as the lack of a full cockpit and pilot figure, is a compromise to maximize articulation of the abdominal area, which is a decision I am completely behind. As for stickers, we have a small set of foils for using on the eyes, head cameras, as well as the lenses on the shield and the rifle. And really good news for fans of customizing their kits, there are clear parts underneath all of these, including an extra clear section for the eyes and head cameras. The one that's currently being used under here is yellow for some reason. Next up then, we have a medium-sized set of sticker decals and a small sheet of dry transfers. Of course, all the bigger, cooler looking decals are stickers, so they do stand out a little bit, but the dry transfers you do get on here do look really good, especially the one back here on the backpack, as well as those on the rifle. Also, I'll mention once again that I believe this is the first Master Grade I have ever built that doesn't have a full cockpit and pilot figure. What you're seeing in here is just one flattish grey piece which makes up for both. Last up then, there is a quick size comparison with the Freedom Gundam 2.0. The Providence right here shares the same inner frame as the Freedom Gundam, give or take a few parts. And yes, as far as I can see, that does mean the hip joints are exactly the same, albeit they do feel a bit looser. Next up then, there it is beside the Master Grade Origin Gundam and the 1100 Barbatos Lupus. So there is the premium edition of the Master Grade Providence Gundam with everything that it comes with. First off, I'll mention what comes in the standard non-premium box, and for manipulators what you get is exactly the same as the Freedom 2.0. That's some fists, holding hands, widespread open hands, and one hand for holding the beam rifle, and these are all interchangeable fingers. Next up then is the Judicium Beam Rifle. This is made out of two different colors of plastic, the grey of the inner frame, as well as another grey that has a kind of navy blue hue to it. Also, as well as those two, there is a clear section for the lens which is covered right now with that foil sticker. And that is in a colorless clear. As for moving parts, the only thing that moves around is the lower handle towards the front. Also, it's worth noting that this is a really big gun, but it has absolutely no problem at all holding that up. Next up then is the composite armed shield system. On here we've got a whole bunch of plastic colors. We've got navy blue, that bluish grey the whole kit is in, colorless clear for the lens, red towards the beam saber section there, and finally those two guns either side of it are molded in grey plastic. All in all, this looks fantastic. To attach to the arm then, three separate pieces in the bottom of this open up and can attach around the arm. Next then we have the effect parts. We've got 5 of which for holding up the Dragoons on the back, and these are as solid as a rock. These aren't going anywhere. As well as those then we've got that absolutely massive beam effect part. Once again, there it is beside Figma Saitama. It is huge and looks fantastic. And last up then we've got that typical 1/100 scale pilot figure. So someone asked me in the comments of the unboxing whether the Dragoons can attach to an action base or a stage act or something like that. What I have right here is a Figma stand, which is your standard 9mm kind of peg here. And you can't, because these are pretty much the exact same thing. The larger Dragoons, it's just this big gaping hole in the bottom. And these don't attach on anyway. This one would like that. But the problem is this section up here doesn't attach to the Dragoon, it attaches to the backpack, so there's no way to attach those to an action base. Well, that is unless you use something like this clip section here, but I don't think that's what you meant. So now moving quickly onto articulation, and in order to do that I'm gonna have to take this apart because it's so big. But first off, we've got some articulation of the small Dragoons up here like this, so that can move up and down. The backpack has quite a bit going on here. I'll pull that off so you can see. So what we have on here is this little part so that can move in and out from the back as well as side to side slightly. Around here on the back, these can move up and down ever so slightly, not a whole lot there. So next, onto the head, there it is all the way to the front. There it is all the way to the back, and we've got a nice amount of movement in there. Moves down the neck as well as at the ball joint. There it is to the left and to the right, so that isn't going to spin all the way around because the catch is on there. As for the shoulder joint, that can move out like that there as well as up and down at this point. There is the shoulder all the way up, there is the arm all the way up. Of course that can rotate all the way around as usual. The arm rotates at this section here, the bend at the elbow, so again that is very nice. We've got 2 points of articulation here, one here at this end of the forearm section. Actually I think we have 3, one here as well and then the ball joint, so there is a lot going on at that wrist section. 1, 2, and 3 points there. Next then is the waist joint. So they did remove the pilot figure and the cockpit from this. There's a smaller one in there, like I mentioned already, but let's see if that's made much of a difference. So there it is, side to side, so that does hold, so that's quite good. Then there is to the front and to the back, so it's actually really good for a master grade and an old school style Gundam. And by old school, I guess it is old school-ish. But what I mean is like a non-Iron-Blooded Orphan style with a big thick trunk. So that bends at multiple points there. You can see it bending and opening right there, as well as the point here as well. So that is really impressive. There's the rotation, and that can go all the way around. Not to forget that these Vulcans, or whatever they are, can move up and down there. That's pretty cool. Next is skirting armor, and that can move up like this. The side skirting moves up like that, and these Dragoons can move up and down there. Of course, they can detach at that point, just like so. So you've got short ones on the sides. On the back there they can move up and down, and those ones are a little bit longer, as you can see. Might be hard to see in there, so I lined it up a bit, but this has the exact same joints in the hips there as the Freedom 2.0, and I know a lot of people had some trouble with these, that they were breaking. At least I think it was these ones. And I don't think they've changed them. They may have, but they look exactly the same, but they are a bit loose. These legs like to flop out a lot, but these are heavier than the Freedom's legs. But anyway, as for the legs there, they are all the way down and out. I'm not going to strain those just in case, so as you can see, you can pretty much do the splits. There is the leg all the way up to the front. If you drop that down, you might get more out of it, but I'm not going to strain this joint, just like I mentioned. It could be fragile. There it is all the way to the back, and again, you kind of have to drop that down to get the most out of it, and again, I'm not going to do that. But anyway, all in all, that's all there is really to the back, and that's what there is to the front. You can probably get more if you mess around with it, but I'm not gonna. We also have rotation at that point, as we usually do, and there is that bend at the knee. So that armor section does separate out a little bit as this bends. Not too much, but it's still nice that it's there. So as you can see, that joint is quite loose. It keeps drooping on me there. When it's all locked into place like that, it's not so bad. Again, it doesn't lock into place. It just kind of holds in. Next, we've got this part here, this flap that moves up. And as for the feet, we've got some side-to-side rotation there, a little bit blocked by the armor. There's that all the way down and up. So it can move up and down there. Oh, feels like we've got something around the back. These thrusters here, they can move ever so slightly, nothing much. And finally the foot, there it is in its standard position that can move up and down as well. And this is incredibly loose. So this joint here, and to a lesser extent the waist, they're all a little bit loose. So because that waist is a little bit on the loose side, can that hold up? So let's see, bend him to the front like that and let go. Kind of. It loses a little bit, but not much, so that is stronger than I actually gave it credit for. One more time, there it is. Yeah, it will drop it. So it is a little bit loose. So besides that, the articulation is absolutely awesome. Shame about a couple of loose joints though. The Master Grade Providence Gundam is more than fit to wear the MG badge, but that doesn't mean it isn't without its issues. Minor issues, but issues nonetheless. As for the good points, it's big, it looks fantastic, and has an absolutely great set of accessories. And on top of all of that, the articulation is epic for such a bulky mobile suit. The only main down points would be the mass amounts of undifferentiated grey plastic, and some loose joints at the waist, ankles and hips. But both of these are relatively easy fixes, and I'll leave an annotation at the end of the video to a couple of lazy-ass tutorials on how to rectify these issues. Also, I will mention again, it does look like Bandai have not changed the hip joints, which have had a history of breaking on the Freedom 2.0, so be a bit careful with these, just in case. And as for my final point, is the premium edition worth it over the standard version? Well, that really depends on you. The awesome ZAFT base and water slides are awesome, but not a necessity. Personally, I just really wanted that sick-ass base. At the end of the day, do you want water slides and a base, or to save your cash? And that right there will be your answer. So as always, thank you very much for watching, and make sure to come back for more Gunpla reviews, and I'll see you next time.